Good morning, everyone. So we have been busy recently getting the garden cleaned up, weeded, things tied up, thinning other things that were insanely sprouting because like every freaking seed I planted decided to sprout. So quick little gardening update. And for you guys that don't know, if you have chickens and you have a garden, when you're weeding the garden, carry a bucket with you, pull all the weeds, throw them to the chickens. They will eat it. Extra foraging stuff for them, and they're happy today. Okay, so if you missed any of the previous videos, we had a lot of our raised bed timbers were finally rotting away, but they're about 10 years old. And I managed to find a guy on Marketplace that had several of these 300-gallon water totes, and they were completely free. I just had to go get them. So gas money down to Cartersville and back twice, got 6 of these things, cut them in half, and what we created were basically 4x4 by about 2 foot tall raised beds. Drilled holes in the bottom. We painted the outside of them just to give a little extra UV protection for the plastic. But I should easily get 10 years out of these. Yeah, they don't look the greatest, but you know what? They do the freaking job. And look at this. This is what started it. We wanted to do potatoes in a raised bed. Well, free is always good. And anything manageable like this is even better. Now again, these beds are full of yard debris. So we're talking like old wood cut down, some of the rotten timbers, sticks, leaves, things like that from the yard. Then we filled in with some mulch that I had access to for free. And I went over here to the horse farm, got composted horse manure, $25 for a truckload that literally straightened the springs on my truck, and filled that in so much on each of these beds, then capped it all with mulch. Now your trick is the mulch. You want at least 2 to 3 inches worth of mulch on top of everything, because 1, it retains the water, 2, it's a weed barrier, and at the third part of it, it will decompose and become good nutrients in the soil. So, you know, you just have to top off with mulch again, you know, in following years. But it's insane. So, and for the tomatoes and the cucumbers, I salvaged wood from the beds that were here, rebuilt these 2 beds. We got this hog wire, and I think it was about $15 a panel. They're 16 footers by about 4 foot. And yeah, I can't say enough good about this. Build this arch. So, you know, been wrapping the cucumbers, and it looks like I already have to wrap some more because they are growing like crazy, and they are absolutely loaded. By this weekend, we're going to be harvesting, you know, like that little guy right there. Look at this bunch down here hanging out. There's some more. So yeah, we're going to be covered up in cucumbers very soon. Tomatoes, you know, it's great because you can weave the vines in and out. Like this one, I'll probably work this one over or just tie it off. Like I've already got this one tied a little bit. But you have an easy trellis system to support it. You don't have to drive stakes. This will stay in place until, well, the timbers rot out and I have to do some replacements on those. And anywhere and everywhere that we could, we plugged onions and garlic. That little guy, if you don't know what that is, it's evil. Pluck it. Morning glories, and they will run over everything. So we have already harvested squash, zucchini. Might have a squash almost ready, close to, and the zucchini's almost ready again. So we've harvested squash, zucchini, radishes. When I thinned out the radish batch, we had one branch of the tomatoes that broke off because it was too heavy, just because I hadn't gotten to tying it yet. So I harvested those green tomatoes, and I made some green tomato fritters. And I'll throw a picture of that up here in a second. But we also harvested, God, the amount of bee balm and oregano that we harvested, and it's hanging in the shop to dry. But let me flip this around. So our asparagus, which will take about 3 years to do anything. There's another one here. but it just hasn't popped up, so I don't know if it's dead. But in the meantime, I tossed in some horseradish. There are actually radishes in here, onions, because they're companion plant, they're fine. Turnips, or wait, no, I put turnips in there. So thin the turnips out so that we'll actually get turnips, harvested a bunch of greens, my mustard greens, my kale greens, and something's already getting in here, but that's okay. The beets, I thinned them out and I spread them around in other places. The carrots, same thing, I thinned them out because it was like row after row after row. And we got multiples because there's carrots over there too. And you know, anywhere I could put horseradish, I dropped some horseradish. But this potato bed, something's not really going well. Look, weed. And another weed. Freaking grass. But the potatoes are going ape. The sunflowers, thinned them out, and I actually ran 2 lines of them down the sides of the blackberry since it's a low year on the blackberry. Say hi for the shop kitties. Tabitha, Patty, Butterfly, and Heresy, and Calliope's over there someplace. But since it's a low year and we're not going to get much anything, it's just a base year for the blackberries. It's like, okay, cool, let's grow a bunch of sunflowers. We grow a bunch of sunflowers, well, I can just toss the heads in there into the chicken coop and they got treats. And it looks pretty, and it brings in the bees. And that's one of the main things. You want the bees, you want the pollinators, because if it's not pollinating, you're not getting anything. So thinned out the sunflowers because this was, oh dear God, thick. The okra's popping up. We got a couple of artichoke coming in. Yeah, I wish there was more, but we'll see what happens. This bed was only onion and garlic. The garlic haven't popped up yet. More onion. This was the radishes. You can see when they get too close, you get stunted growth like that. That's why you thin them out. You want spacing so they can grow into a nice tuber. Same thing with carrots. You want to space them. The strawberries are doing wonderful. And in this bed, it's a little mixed bag. Primarily, we have dandelion, so we can harvest the dandelion for tea. But we also have some horseradish tossed in here. I threw some beets in here just because it's not going to hurt anything. And then our pepper beds, which, look, more turnips. They haven't come back yet. That's one thing with plugs. You got to give them a couple days to see if they're going to take. But the peppers, and as you can see, some of them are a little yellow. That's a dead sign that you're getting too much water. But with all the rain we're getting, not much can be done about that. And again, squash and zucchini, just cause. They produce quickly, easily. You don't really have to do anything to them other than, well, when the cutworm gets down in the base of the root, then you just got to tear it out because it's done. So some of those first seeds from your harvest, put them back in the ground so you got another one popping up later. And that is pretty much that. Quick little update. Everything's going good. My next project is tearing apart those 3 beds, seeing what's salvageable. And it's time to transplant some of the fruit. This one, I'll transplant the one blueberry we got left, put it over in this area. And after this bed's done, I'll till this. Actually, no, probably in this space where this other bed was. But those 2 pomegranate, they're going to be moved over here. That poor lone blueberry right there, we'll get him a couple buddies and put him out here. I'm going to move some fig back here where the plums were. The plums they got ate up with that fungus, and it's not worth it. So I'm guessing there's choke cherries out in the woods nearby that, because nobody else has got stone fruit, but it got that particular fungus that just eats them up. And we've already got irrigation in here, so we're going to put some figs in here and let it grow, and then it also cause shading for the chickens. So yeah, and we have a dwarf cherry up there that we're going to move back here, which that one doesn't get affected by the fungus, which is weird. I don't know, because of the species difference or something like that. But yeah, it's coming along. And more updates to come, especially once we harvest. And I'll throw a couple extra pictures in here just so you guys can see things. So take it easy. Hillbilly out.